All right, episode 7. Here we go. I'm Rosario.
And I'm Riley.
This is Classic Mix Up Podcast. You know the drill by now.
Welcome back, everybody.
Yeah, welcome
Thanks
back.
for listening.
Hope you guys are having a good week so far.
Mhm.
I'm having a good week so far.
Yeah, good wishes.
Listening to some music, doing some podcasting.
Yeah, dude. It's
Yeah.
one of those weeks.
Yeah, dude, it's like Gotham City outside. It's pitch black.
Oh, dude,
raining.
it's so gross.
All I can see is street lights. I'm like, damn. It's kind of depressing.
Oh, it's so gross. Oh, here it's like the same.
Yeah, and next semester I have a class at 4 to 5, and I'm like,
Oh,
yeah, like I don't want to do that.
The darkest time of the year, you have a class at that.
Yeah, time. It's gonna be dark when I get out of class. It's gonna suck, but I'm not worried about that. One day at a time, you know.
Yeah, I've been looking for paid internships to start.
Okay,
like
cool.
In Detroit, so like you know.
Yeah, that's cool. I was looking for some this summer, but a lot of internships only want people with they only want mostly seniors, maybe juniors. So I might still have
especially I think in your degree,
to go.
It's a lot like that.
Yeah, well, so for my degree, they want you to know a lot of programming languages and stuff, and be comfortable on a lot of different softwares and stuff. But I'll learn that stuff eventually. But
yeah, mine's all environment consultant, so I'd work with a team of people and talk about sustainability and stuff, because I've kept a consistent sustainability degree based, like a sustainability based degree or minor.
Okay, yeah, because you switched your major, but it's still in the same kind of field.
Yeah, I've switched my major now a third time, because I'm doing history now, but I still have a minor in sustainability, which is
okay.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Anyway, dude, what's going on? Anything new? Anything crazy?
Nothing exciting, really. Just I don't know. Listening to a lot of music like usual, but some different stuff. I guess we'll talk about that later, though.
So. Yeah, we'll get into that. That's our final segment usually.
That's our final segment. Yeah, for our first segment here, though, if you don't know how it works, is we pick an album for each other to listen to. So we're gonna start off with the one that Riley picked for me to listen to, and we're gonna talk about it. It's called Perfect Confusion. It's a self-titled album from the band Perfect Confusion, who would later become Cage the Elephant, if I understand correctly.
Yeah. So 2 of the guys out of the band Perfect Confusion would leave the band, and in the midst of that, Perfect Confusion gets discovered after this self-titled album gets discovered, and changes their name in lieu of the members of the band. Yeah,
cool.
But it's practically the sound, and most of the quintessential members are Cage the Elephant. Which Cage the Elephant is a pretty popular band, best known for Ain't No Rest for the Wicked.
Yeah, and Cigarette Daydreams.
That song and Cigarette Daydreams.
Good song.
Yeah, but they are all their other music is great too.
If Blink-182 changed their name every time they got a new membership, there would have been 7 names by now.
Yeah, that's weird.
I feel
like this is a little bit of a detour, but I feel like the Hoppus, Matt Skiba, Travis Barker band iteration of Blink-182 should have been a totally different band.
I was just gonna say that the way the last 2 Blink-182 albums have not really felt I guess if you still have Mark Hoppus, it is still Blink-182, but something feels off about it.
Yeah, but
that new single,
the same sounding band.
We talked about that new single a few weeks ago. We both weren't were not really into it. It's getting a lot of airplay.
It's so bad.
It's on commercials. The NFL was playing it in between commercial breaks on Sunday. I was surprised to see
it's because millennials and Gen Xers.
Yeah, I mean the concert tickets are $300. Clearly there's still a buzz for Blink-182.
I would rather just see Turnstile by themselves
in a proper setting. I think we talked about that the other week.
They're touring with Snail Mail, I think.
And Wallows. It's weird, dude. It's weird. I mean, I like Snail Mail.
Turnstile's doing their own tour with.
Yeah. That's a weird.
Yeah, they're still on tour.
I feel like the Snail Mail fans wouldn't really want to. Have you seen a
Turnstile show?
Yeah, no. Have you seen the thing where it was at Lala and they put Playboy Cardi on right after Miley Cyrus or right before Miley Cyrus, and a bunch of people got fucking. Oh man, that's a classic moment.
I don't think Turnstile fans are like gonna be rioting anytime soon. They're not like Cardi fans.
Yeah, that's true.
They're more
it's
like
not exactly the same.
Because like they're hardcore. Like any like true like Turnstile fan is a hardcore fan, or like an OG Turnstile fan. A majority of their fans are true hardcore fans, and hardcore people are really like usually cool people.
Yeah, they're not like the Vamps.
No, Vamps kind of get really mob mentality.
Yeah. Well, there's this famous tweet of this poor girl. She has like blood like literally covering her face, and she's like, I got hit by a metal water bottle during Cardi's set at Lollapalooza while I was waiting for Miley Cyrus, and I'm like, oh my god. Anyways, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, so we got to get back into schedule.
Yeah. Perfect confusion here. It's a pretty typical Riley album. It's like that's not an insult. It just sounds like something you would like. I mean, it's like I don't know how do you describe it. It's like an indie rock kind of bluesy, heavy guitar and bass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty typical drums. Thing that Riley would like. So I guess I'll start on my opinion of it. So I listened to this album twice this week, as I like to do with every album on the podcast. Not that I manage to do that every week, but I like to. So the first time I listened to it, I thought basically what I just said of it. It's like a pretty typical like blues rock type album. I didn't really think there were many standouts, but I will say on the second listen, not only did kind of songs grow on me, but I noticed a lot more things in the songs, and I noticed a lot of stuff that I would say you kind of need a little more of a trained ear for, because there's a lot of variation in the record, but it doesn't really show on the surface. So I guess we'll kind of get into that later. But would you agree with that? Or?
Oh, 100%. I think that like even when I first listened to this album, and I think it's probably been a few years at this point, it was very like subpar. Like I liked like Make Peace and Be Free. That was like, and that's the most popular song off the album. So it's like I love that song. But then since that, it's been an album that I've gone back to over the years and kind of like went back and like listened to every song and got into it. Like every song has kind of been like listened to or in
at like different times, and you get into it different times. Yeah.
Nothing recently. Everything kind of like a year ago at this point. Like
okay.
So it's been a minute. I actually really wanted to listen to this album all the way through. I haven't done it in a long time, so I did it for the podcast, and
that's kind of cool. I just think it's kind of cool that you picked an album that you like wanted to get back into. That's kind of what I did this week too, and that was unplanned. So we'll get to that later. But yeah, I would say that this is the album in 7 weeks of Classic Mix Up and 5 weeks where I'm listening to a new album from Riley. This is the album that's grown on me the most from the beginning of the week to the podcast recording. Like the first time I heard it, I found it pretty uninteresting. And the most recent time I heard it, which was earlier today, I found it really, I don't know. I was just picking up on a lot of things, I guess. So I will start by saying that Government Song is my favorite song.
Yeah, dude, that's a great song.
Yeah, you like that one?
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
I like how I was really interested on the vocal kind of tones and I guess fluctuation on the song. I like how he has more low-key vocals in the verse, and then it's like a loud hitting chorus, you know? And
I love the drums in that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it has a really good like guitar and drum solo at the end, which is cool. So yeah. And then
sorry to cut you off, but the drums in the beginning is so good. Like re-listening to it, and every song kind of flows together really well in the album too. You don't feel like it's like cutting off. Like that's true. You don't feel like out of place. You can kind of listen to you can also listen to songs in any order you want, and it feels like it's a part of the same album. But I think that's just the attitude of the band at the time, probably doing a lot of the same type of music, a lot of the same type of instruments being used to record that kind of thing. But yeah, Government Song's drums are probably the best on the album.
Yeah, they're really cool. That's one of the songs that I think is like really cool. There's some songs on. There's some. I mean, I'll still admit after I know I've been praising it about it growing on me. There's still some parts of it that I find like kind of uninteresting, but there's some songs that I think are really cool. A Government Song is one of those. I think "Make Peace and Be Free" you mentioned was the most popular song. I think that's a really cool song. Yeah, I think the guitar. I think the "Make Peace and Be Free" is probably the most popular song because I think it's a good example of the guitar, the bass, and the drums really all come together. You know, they work well together, and also I'd say it's a different type of sound. This is 4 tracks in at this point, or 5 tracks in at this point. It creates a different sound that you haven't really heard on the first 4. And on my second listen, especially, it really stuck out to me as kind of a tonal shift in kind of similar sounding songs for 1 through 4, I'd say. And then this song kind of really went and did a different thing, which I think the second half of this album, there's a lot of songs that do different things, which I like a lot.
Which is awesome. Like, and it kind of, it's crazy because like you bring up that like the first 3 or 4 songs have a certain attitude about them.
I think they do.
For the Day starts pretty similar attitude to like Beat of Your Eardrums, and like Government Song too. They all kind of start up with like a build up, and then the break they have like soft and loud, soft, loud. Jamie's Institution's probably my favorite. Jeez, I can't speak. My second favorite song off the album.
One of mine too.
Yeah, because I love I love the message off of Jamie.
I was just gonna say I love the commentary on that song. I do.
Like it's like it talks about the over medication of people. It talks about the over institutionalization of people with mental illness. It talks about
very interesting for a record like this. I wouldn't expect that.
Well, every song is kind of. When I re-listened to it today, I listened to it twice, like you did. Once to just like jam to it because I love the album, and a second time to really get into the lyrics and stuff. A lot of the songs are such protest songs, and I think that's something that Cage the Elephant kind of keeps. Well, when Perfect Confusion transitions into Cage the Elephant, they really keep that. Like a government song. It's a song against the government. Like it's basically saying like fuck the government's corrupt and fucked up. Like, but we don't use. We're not gonna hurt people and break everything down. We're gonna change things with our words and with our actions, like our music, and which is cool. I like that.
And then again on track 7, which is Roll Over
too.
There's an interesting amount of social commentary on this album. I think it's pretty cool. I think we mentioned Government Song, Jamie's Institution, and Roll Over are probably the 3 biggest examples. I mean, they talk about the world and really more specifically the country we live in, the state of things, and it was kind of refreshing to hear on an album like this. I wasn't expecting it to take me by surprise, but I'm really glad I picked it up because it just added to another element to the album.
It'll be on the rotation, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think those 3 songs I just mentioned will 100% be on the rotation. I think another one that really stood out to me was Midnight Rendezvous.
Yeah.
I think one thing that's impressive about this album that I've kind of briefly touched on, you see especially in the second half, which I mentioned, is that there's a lot of different sounds and there's a lot of different ways, I think, to use the guitar and the bass. And I think they do that really well. And it just takes, I'd say, as someone who's not as experienced on this genre or really has that like a close ear, I think it really showed on Midnight Rendezvous that there's some really cool and interesting different ways to use the guitar and bass that they really displayed. And then the outro is another song that I really like. I'm blanking on the name.
Wallpaper. Yeah, I loved Wallpaper re-listening to it because I was almost like I was listening to Wallpaper so like intensely that when it ended and it started up Live for the Day, I was like, what the fuck? The album's over?
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Wallpaper's
Wallpaper is I think what I liked about Wallpaper is again they're displaying a different tempo and a different style there. They have like a really fast kind of like it really reminded me of like a Fall Out Boy or something, that drum line. They have like a really fast like alt rock drums, and then they have their like that loud chorus, and they have like a really like slow and smooth like refrain after the chorus. it's like really cool and really satisfying to hear that really slow, calming part juxtaposed with the fast drums.
Yeah.
And I
100%.
noted that it reminds me of the Zephyr song, which is like my favorite Red Hot Chili
Yeah.
Peppers song.
Yep.
So great song there.
No, it Midnight Rendezvous you brought up a little bit ago.
Mm-hmm.
The pacing of it reminds me of like a Beatles song. Like
yeah, it could be. I'm not the most familiar with the Beatles, but
well, even at Oasis, like it kind of reminds me of Oasis pace, like the
right. And Oasis gets compared to the Beatles a lot.
So much, yeah.
It's like,
that's why something you would know a little bit, you know?
Yeah, right. Hopefully, I know it for this episode. Spoiler alert, but yeah, I love how you have the sticker facing right into the camera. It's perfect.
You see it?
No, you can't see it if you're not watching on YouTube. So.
Oh yeah. We stream on everything, basically everything you listen to, and we're on YouTube, so that's you can see our faces.
Because some people find YouTube convenient, and you can see our faces. So.
Yeah, a little more connected to us.
Yeah. So I mean, complaints about this record, I would say every song has a pretty similar song structure, which I know song structure is an interesting topic, but it's something that I notice a lot. I say a lot of the artists that I like tend to vary their song structure in terms of pace, tempo, what comes where, with different bridges, refrains in different places and stuff. I'd say this album is pretty formulaic in that sense.
Right.
However, I guess that's, if I had to make a metaphor out of it, that's more the destination. And what's interesting about the album is the different ways they get there. So I guess it kind of goes back to the old adage of like the journey is important, which I didn't realize the first time I heard this album, but going back to it, I found that sure, every song at the end of the day, it's not very multidimensional, but they have a lot of variation in the types of stuff they do to get there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of the mixing on the music is the exact same. Like the drums sound the same.
That's true.
The guitar sounds the same. But the songs that do have different guitar and bass kind of
they really stick out to me.
Yeah, like Make Peace and Be Free. That guitar is nothing like any other guitar on the whole album.
Right, and I noted that.
That main riff on Make Peace and Be Free, is really contagious. Like it's very like melodic and fun and peaceful. Like Make Peace and Be Free is a song that I would listen to in the peak of summer, like driving with the windows down, in the peak of winter when I'm in the snow, or like if I were to snowboard or something. That'd be a great snowboarding song.
I think Cage the Elephant is a good snowboarding band.
Yeah.
So. I think I'd say, going off what I was saying earlier, this is a really, I think, stereotypical first album for a good musician. It's like they're not necessarily going out of their comfort zone. They're not doing too much different stuff, but they are showcasing their talent in the different guitar usage, the different riffs, the different tempos. Overall, good record. Nothing crazy, but enjoyable experience.
Yeah, I'm sure it was music that they wanted to listen to and make at the time.
Yeah.
A lot of what's crazy is this album came out in 2005, and like you like thinking of other music that came out around like the mid 2000s, like this is kind of really unique, like it's even like in my headspace of like who else was doing like blues rock, garage rock at the time. You had I mean, they're really maybe you could say Oasis, but they were kind of doing their
really
Brit rock and
right. It's not really my genre of expertise, but
I mean, I could go into it a little bit, but like
this
album
out of the spotlight at this point.
Yeah, but like so this album is, I think, why I like it so much is because it's kind of like a its own little wave of like this like garage like
blues rock,
like
which is like
rock.
Which I said right in the beginning is like totally like right down your alley. Like this album reminds me of you a ton.
Yeah, and it's because like you think of like, oh, okay, when did that really come to light? Well, you think of like White Stripes. They were like early 2000s, like 2002, but they started, they didn't really, they were very distorted, and then you had the Black Keys, but they only had 2 albums out at this point, and they were all blues covers, and like they weren't very popular.
Right, they weren't really getting off the ground at this point.
Right, and then I think like when Perfect Confusion transitions into KG Elephant, and they get the new lineup, and they make their first album, I think that's around the time when like bands like the Black Keys
start
pop off because they like in 08 Black Keys releases Attack and Release, which is their first like more well-known album, and that's kind of around when the first
KG
Elephant came out, and then White Stripes gets more recognition, after they break up and all that kind of stuff, and that was like 07 or whatever, like 05, and then so like this rock that's more like melodic and bluesy and kind of soulful, it's like this is kind of like a precursor to that, like almost like proto.
Yeah, it's like starting the wave. That's why it's not perfect, obviously. I mean, they have influences, of course, and like you said, they're making music that they like to listen to, but it hasn't been perfect. Like there's no blueprint yet for how to make a record like this, and they're kind of trying to figure it out, I think.
But they also don't really sound like anybody at the time.
Right.
At all.
So
like 05, you only have the few bands, but they were doing like Black Keys and White Stripes and all of them. Yeah. They were doing, blues or super distorted rock or alt or, and then everybody else was doing like, pop punk or more poppy stuff. And, like even Nickelback, which is more like blues or heavy alt rock, they were super commercialized and that kind of thing. So it's like, this is pretty cool. Like it's kind of like something that would come out this year, like 2022, but back in 05.
Right. It's cool because it's like I said, they don't have the blueprint yet, but like they were part of like making the blueprint, like so it's a cool piece of music history because like other albums we talked about on this podcast before, it's kind of the first of its type. It reminds me of Yankee Hotel Foxtrot in a way, where when that album came out, they were grabbing influences from everywhere, and they kind of made the first album of its type with that. And this is similar to that because it was at the onset of a new genre.
Mm-hmm. This is how, fun fact, this album is how I found Patrick Sweeney.
Really? There's a connection there, like a 6 degrees of separation.
Well, because in the suggested artists, also like section, Patrick Sweeney's in it. Right. Or I think I did a Patrick Sweeney then Perfect Confusion, but
yeah, right. But there's a connection there.
Yeah.
I mean, you hear the similarities. I mean, Patrick Sweeney doesn't use really as much heavy drums or like rock and roll type elements. I mean, he has some, but I'd say he focuses more
differently.
I was going to say he focuses more on the vocal side of things. I mean, he's an incredible guitarist, but yeah. Look at me with my Patrick Sweeney knowledge. I love
he's blues. Patrick Sweeney's a blues player.
Right. If you want to hear more about Patrick Sweeney, we talked about him in episode 4, I believe. So again, on brand for Riley. So
such an underrated artist too.
Yeah,
Patrick Sweeney makes great music.
And if you want to hear more about the Black Keys, unfortunately, you can't because it's in the Lost episode.
And we haven't done another one. I can't believe I'm like the top 0.1% listeners on Spotify of the Black Keys still.
It's true. You've been like what, 3 of their concerts?
3 years. Oh, 3 years, 1%, top 0.01%. I've been to
that's impressive. 2 of their concerts.
Yeah. Cool. Yep.
So they were your top artists 3 years in a row.
No. But that's how much I listen to music, is that I'm in their top 0.01%.
And they're still not even here.
Yeah.
That's cool. I don't have Spotify, so I don't know those type of things, but I know my most listened to artist this year is Mr. JID.
Oh, yeah. We're going to see him in April.
We're going to see him.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Anyway, do you have song recommendations for the people?
Yeah, I mean, the ones we've brought up mostly. I mean, I think it's a short album. I'd say just listen to it.
Yeah, it's 35 minutes.
Yeah. But my favorite songs, it's pretty good. I mean, we mentioned our favorite songs. I guess I'll reiterate. Government Song, Jamie's Institution and Wallpaper are my favorites. Make Peace and Be Free and Midnight Rendezvous are probably more fan favorites, and they're really interesting songs. So I guess if you want to listen to like that's half the album right there if you want to try that. But yeah,
Or
it's a
just
short
listen to
album.
the first 5 songs. The first 5 songs are all bangers and they're really good. And then the second half of the album is exactly the same in quality. So, if you like the first half, then listen to the second half. Or, let's jump around, listen to the songs that we've talked about. If you're going to start with one to see if you want to dip your toes in, I would definitely say Jamie's Institution.
Yeah, that song's awesome.
Because it has that beginning, that message. But if you want something more chill off that album, Make Peace and Be Free. I would definitely say.
Yeah, good pick.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, so I guess that will take us then to our second album, which is one that I picked for this week, which is one of my favorites. It's What's the Story, Morning Glory by Oasis.
What a classic album.
It is a classic. It's considered one of the greatest, I believe.
Yeah. Of all time?
I mean, by some. By the Brits, definitely.
All right, now.
No, you don't think so?
Okay, so
it's a commercial giant.
I loved Oasis in high school, like early high school. I loved Oasis, like late freshman year, early sophomore year. I have a I ordered an Oasis sticker before I knew what Redbubble was, and I like put it on my, I bought this online and put it on my water bottle. This is my water bottle from high school. I still use it. But
if you want to see the water bottle, watch on YouTube.
Yeah. I'm showing my water bottle on. Yeah, I can describe it. It's blue. It's got stickers on it. Whatever. But yeah. So I've listened to this album before all the way through, and we kind of had this discussion like last week of like, I've listened to this album all the way through,
right?
But I haven't listened to it in the mindset that I'm in now. I was a child when I last listened to this album all the way through. Really even gave a shit about Oasis. When I think when they had a documentary kind of come out like a few years ago, they had this big show in London, and it was the tribulations of their the life, because the two brothers in the band, Liam and Noel, they hate each other. They fucking hate each other, and they hate each other when they were in the band. They hated each other. They hate each other now. They're both successful artists on their own, but they hate each other. So that was just hearing them argue was like so sad, because I love their music so much.
Right. They make such great music from what I've heard, always arguing, and eventually, really got the band like split up. So
yeah. Well, Liam doesn't play an instrument; he sings, and it was like his first real band was Oasis, and he kind of was like, I'm gonna join your band, because Noel he plays guitar, and they were played with buddies, the rest of the guys in the band, and then they made their first album, and then this is their sophomore album, which is crazy because I think I want to say this is their sophomore album, right? I don't know that.
It is, yeah.
Which is crazy because bands usually hit the sophomore slumps.
Yeah, so I guess I'll talk a little bit about that. Comparing it to their first album, Definitely Maybe, it's completely different. Like I think a lot of bands that hit the sophomore slump, they either go too similar, they're not doing anything special, or they go too different and kind of do a Backseat Lovers where they just abandon what made their first album good and go with something totally different. I think Oasis was kind of set up for success because they had a lot of potential coming off of Definitely Maybe, because it was a good album, but it was not really polished. It was not really serious. I believe there's a quote by Noel Gallagher where he says, Definitely Maybe is the story of guys who want to be rock stars but don't really know how to do it. And What's the Story, Morning Glory is the story of guys who are rock stars and are going to act like it. So I think you see a lot more confidence on What's the Story, Morning Glory. I think you see a lot more creative decisions made and more unique stuff done, but it all works out. Everything hits and it comes together perfectly, which really helps you avoid the sophomore slump.
Yeah, no, and it has two of their most popular songs on it.
It has two of the most popular songs ever, really. At least one of them. Yeah.
Period.
So it's a
Wonderwall
charting giant,
and
this album.
Champagne Supernova. Well, like,
Yeah, and
I
even
was
Don't
talking
Look
to my
Back in
mom.
Anger.
Yeah, exactly. 3. It's
Yeah.
like 3. Well, I was talking to my mom. She loved Oasis back in the 90s. She was like perfect age for this album to come out. She was like in her 20s.
Yeah.
And she was talking about how Champagne Supernova was like the shit when it came out. She's like, oh, we didn't, Wonderwall was good, but it was Champagne Supernova.
Yeah. A 7-minute hit. I mean, that's rare.
Yeah, and it was because every moment is just
it's like
music.
watching a movie. Yeah. So
yeah,
the album had numerous hits, like we said. So you have Don't Look Back in Anger, Champagne Supernova, and of course the one that hopefully everyone listening to this podcast has heard is Wonderwall, which went number 1. Actually, it went number 1. It stayed number 1 for like 30 weeks, I believe. So, yeah, I mean, we can talk about
Wonderwall and it was
a little bit.
And this album, the crazy thing about this album is it first blew up in the UK, like huge, and
it's
then
like a second
went
British
to the US
invasion
and blew up huge. Like, so it was like
it's one of the only albums that's. It's one of the. I have that written in my notes. Is that one thing I find interesting? Is that it's one of the only albums to have insane success in the UK and then in the US, like kind of in 2 separate waves, and be as big as it was. I mean, coming from the UK and then coming to the US rather than vice versa. So
right,
and the chart data shows this. I mean, they had hits. They had number 1 hits in the UK before the US probably even had this album. I'm assuming. So
yeah,
which is pretty cool.
Well, and what's crazy is that it wasn't as so. I don't know where it was, but I think it was in the UK. Oasis really struggled to chart because of Blur. The song Free guys.
Right.
They were huge in Britain. Like Blur was the shit.
The pop rock band.
Yes. And they were the Brit pop. Yeah. And then so Oasis really they were trying to outchart Blur with this album. So they put a lot into it, and they ultimately won with this. Like, and they won in the U.S. as well. Like even long-term success too. They had a couple albums come out after this, and then obviously they broke up sadly. But like, they should get back together. Just saying, but I've been saying that. That's like everybody else and their mom being like, Oasis should get back together. It's like,
yeah, I think they've done their thing. They have a large discography, of which I've only heard definitely maybe in this album. I'm not really I'm not like a huge fan of the band per se, but I fell in love with this album as soon as I first heard it. I mean, so now that we've kind of given the history of it, I guess, and some facts, I mean, sonically, it's really it's characterized by like being a super raw album. I think a lot of people would point out that it is not very polished. I mean, intentionally, I'd say it has that kind of sound to it, that kind of raw sound that kind of brings out the emotions and kind of extracts the minute details of the songs. Which is a common characteristic of indie rock. So the combination of those sonic elements combined with Gallagher's like exaggerated vocals.
Which one?
Liam's exaggerated vocals and one way I saw the album described when I was researching it is that it was characterized by quote unquote huge choruses, which I thought was like a perfect way to describe this album when I was trying to write notes about it. Is you have his emotional singing and kind of drawn out acoustics and stuff like that makes for huge songs. They're like cinematic rock and roll ballads with huge catchy choruses, and it really all comes together for a perfect combination.
Yeah.
In terms of specific songs, obviously we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Wonderwall. I'll go out on a limb and say that most people, like many songs that spent 30 weeks at number 1, most people probably don't care for this song at least anymore. But maybe since I wasn't alive when the song was really popping off like that, I can appreciate it differently because I think it's a great song. And I think it's like the most clear example of one of the most acclaimed aspects of the record, which is, again, Gallagher's like over the top vocals and like really warm, personal kind of delivery. And it kind of is really different than some of the more rock and roll in your face songs like Roll With It. I don't know. I just really like that about the song. It comes early in the album, but it's catchy, obviously. And the acoustic guitar is a great change of pace. And yeah, the way he sings on this song, he doesn't really sing on any other songs, except for maybe Don't Look Back in Anger. But yeah,
I was about to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess like, I mean, Wonderwall is one of those songs you hear everywhere. Everybody plays it in the car. Everybody knows Wonderwall. Everybody says don't play a Wonderwall. It's horrible. Whatever. It's just like everybody can kind of sing to Wonderwall because it's like, what is a Wonderwall? What the fuck is he talking about?
Yeah, don't focus too hard on the lyrics of this album. Like ever, there's not really much.
Which is funny coming from you because you're a lyric guy.
I have a heightened ability as compared to Riley to pick up lyrics and meanings, but I don't use it always. It can be turned on and off.
Okay.
When I listen to What's the Story, Morning Glory, the lyric meter is turned all the way down, except for She's Electric, where I like to pick out all the little British references, but I'll talk about that later.
Yeah, I re-listening to this album was really nice too because I get to pick out songs that I'm like listen to more, like Roll With It. Like I love Roll With It. It's such a fun, like exciting entrance to this album because then I love how it's like a fast little song and then it goes into like two like power ballads. Like
yeah, dude, that's really the two categories of song on this album, I'd say. And there's some songs that dip their toes in both, but you have like power rock, like, you know, quick, fast, like loud song. I don't know terminology, but whatever.
Yeah, no,
and then you have these like you said, like these like larger than life, drawn out rock and roll ballads. And then you have some songs that are kind of a mixture of both. And that's really where my favorite songs are. My two favorite songs are Hey Now and Some Might Say, because I think they're both a perfect combination of like an upbeat, catchy song that also dips its toes in the larger than life ballad. I mean, it has a running time. Hey Now has a running time of 6 minutes. So it shares that kind of long drawn out feel as some of the other songs like Champagne Supernova, yet it still retains that catchy replayability that I think you might not find in a Champagne Supernova or a Don't Look Back in Anger. And then the same can pretty much be said for Some Might Say. It's just very catchy. I lied. I like the lyrics of Some Might Say. I think they're somewhat thought-provoking.
Yeah. For picking favorites, I think it's Don't Look Back in Anger still.
Yeah. Like I mean, you can't go wrong there.
Because I love like the history of the lyrics too, because Noel would write the lyrics. Noel Gallagher would write the lyrics, and then his brother Liam would
sing them. Yeah.
And a lot of the time he would improvise. And one of my favorite like lines is like the chorus where it's like, "So Sally can wait."
Yeah, right.
If you know the story, too late as we're walking on by. So it's just like it was like supposed to be the "So sad to wait, you know it's too late," which is the second verse, second chorus or whatever.
Right.
But then Liam was like, well,
he was just saying shit.
He was like, well, why would we, what about Sally? This girl Sally, this is what you're talking about. Like, Don't Look Back in Anger. And then like, it's this totally different, adds a different meaning.
It's now like a different song.
The song was like supposed to be like a forgiving people for their wrongs kind of song. Mm-hmm. And then it turned into a song about like, hey girl, don't get mad at me. Like,
yeah,
hey girl, forgive me, please. Like,
yeah, it's an interesting story.
But yeah, that's why I love that song. Every time I listen to it, and it's just like, I think every time Don't Look Back in Anger comes on, I'm up going like this, standing, waving.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how I feel.
Singing the chorus.
That's exactly how I feel.
Like I'm there. what else? What song surprised me? She's Electric is like a Beatles song. Like I love
Yeah, and the Oasis get a ton of Beatles comparisons, but this is one that really.
Oh, huge.
Yeah, right. It's
If I had a top three, it'd be right now after this listen to us, Don't Look Back in Anger, Morning Glory, and Hello. Because
okay, cool.
Those are
Totally different from mine, which is
a classic, and two songs that surprised me after this listen.
Mm-hmm.
But every song's kind of good off this.
Yeah. I mean, of course. I mean, my top three is vastly different. I mean, but of course, I mean, I love Don't Look Back in Anger. I love that it's aided by like the piano and the tambourine. Yeah. I mean, that's cool. You don't see that everywhere. They actually have a tambourine larger than you would think amount of times in this album. It's kind of hidden usually, but you can hear it pretty well on Don't Look Back in Anger. And they have the piano in there. Right. And for Don't Look Back in Anger, I think it's cool. I think it goes back to a topic we've touched on before when we were talking about Palace. It's kind of this idea that indie rock singers are not usually talented vocally, like technically speaking, but they have this like unmatched ability to convey emotions in their singing and to just elevate a song to the next level. And I think Oasis and Don't Look Back in Anger specifically is another great example of this. I mean, Gallagher is like a fine singer, but like just the way that he delivers the vocals and what he's able to do to bring that song to the next level, both emotionally and sonically, is really impressive. And that's probably the best example of that.
Yeah. Well, I think I think this is something that we've kind of like talked about as I've like shown you music is like that, a band isn't just the singer trying to tell you what the music is, like what the story is.
Right.
It's very like a lot of good bands, their singers may not necessarily be good. You have bands that that their singers are good, but that doesn't make or break a band if the singer's not good, because then you have the other instruments telling the story, like in Palace, like or Patrick Sweeney. Like I let you know about the Patrick Sweeney album last a couple weeks ago, that listen to the guitar. The guitar is someone singing. Like it's like someone, it has lyrics if you listen to it. Like, it has emotion. And I think Oasis does that too. Their composition and their music is really cool. And like very Beatle-esque, but the guitar playing is really good. They get criticized a lot for having a lot of open chords, which are just the most basic chords you can learn in guitar. There's no complexity to them. They're very rhythmic, very
simple. This is outside of my expertise.
That's just their criticism, and they're kind of dicks. The guys in the band are, but the music's good. So.
Music's good, yeah. Very, very, very British. I know we've talked about the Beatles a lot, but it's like
Brit rock. This is Brit rock.
They are, yeah. They're from the UK. We mentioned that. She's Electric is hilarious. I love that song a lot. I love just the things that are said on this song are so British. I mean, I don't want to just read them off a list because I don't have them written down, but it makes me laugh every time and kind of reminds me. Sometimes when you hear British people sing, oftentimes they don't have like a heavy accent. A lot when anyone sings, you don't really hear an accent because they're like vocalizing or whatever. But it definitely comes through on this album, which is something I just randomly thought about. But maybe that goes back to him not being like the most.
Brits need to start singing with their accents, man. They gotta do something different. Don't be like.
I mean, it sounds good. It's like it sounds different, obviously, than what we're used to, but it sounds good on this album. So, shout out to my British friends, and shout out to the great country of.
But I quite fancy her mother, Rosario.
Yeah, and her cousin, who's got a bun in the oven.
Yep.
Yeah. Anything else to say other than I guess we can do song recommendations again, even though we've kind of harped on a lot of the songs already.
All of them.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great album.
You can't really miss out. You listen to one song and you're gonna get the sound.
Yeah, and that's why I think I listened to this album originally. Well, first of all, Wonderwall came to me in a dream, so nice. Yeah, I dream in with a lot of, if you Google it, a lot of science, because I've done a lot of research into this. I'm gonna go off a small tangent, but it's okay. I've done a lot of research into this. A lot of
Yeah.
scientists say you can't hear sounds in your dreams. However, if you listen to enough music and get enough songs stuck in your head, I definitely dream in music. More like
That's weird because I feel like I have a lot of sound in my dreams.
I feel like I do too, but what it could be, I theorize, is that we are so used to having sound in our world that when we see something or feel something, we associate it with a sound. And
Yeah.
I think maybe when you're remembering your dream, you remember the events of your dream with the sound that they would have if they were to happen in real life. But really, I guess the counter to that is that I do if I'll wake up. I mean, do you ever wake up with like a song stuck in your head? Because it happens to me a lot.
Yeah.
I'll wake up.
I have songs stuck in my head 24/7.
Yeah, I mean, I'll wake up with a song stuck in my head that I've literally barely ever heard in my life, but I'll have it stuck in my head. And that happened to me with Wonderwall a long time ago when I first discovered this album, I guess. I woke up with a song stuck in my head and I'm like, God, I don't recognize this. I mean, you know how long ago it was? I barely recognized Wonderwall. So that led me to find Wonderwall and led me to find their other hits. And when I really started getting into music more and getting into rock more, yeah, I gave this one a listen, and like, there's really not a moment you want to miss out on this album. I mean, I would recommend you listen to Don't Look Back in Anger and Champagne Supernova, but I mean, like, to get the full experience, I mean, it's 50 minutes. It's not too long. It's a fantastic album, well worth a listen. So yeah.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. The song that I woke up most recently stuck in my head is can't remember the name of it right now, but I'm gonna look it up and find it because it's a random song that I don't really listen to. But it's called All for You by Sister Hazel. It's from the 90s. I don't know if you know it, but the chorus is like it's hard to say what it is I see in you. And I woke up and I had that stuck in my head and I'm like, what is that from? Apparently it's a dad rock band. I listened to the song though; it's pretty decent. I don't know how that got in my mind while I was sleeping though. I don't. If there's any dream scientists out there, I'd love to know what's going on there.
Do a dream study on you, huh? Do a little dream
study? I have a lot of crazy dreams. Like,
me too, dude.
Yeah, mostly realistic, but that's weird.
I'll have dreams that I'm sleeping and that I wake up from the dream and I feel insane. Like I feel like I'm like I really need to go into the pen, you know?
That's weird.
Yeah.
I say a lot of people say they don't remember their dreams, but I'd say I remember my dreams a fair amount because they're mostly mundane though. Like if I'm doing something right before bed, I'll like dream of that thing. Like I've been playing Overwatch and I like totally dreamt that I was playing Overwatch the other day. And when I was golfing in the summer, I literally have dreams about golf like so often. I don't know. It's just mundane stuff, but I remember my dreams and they have music in them. So
yeah, I think a lot of my dreams are filled with a lot of anxiety. Like a lot of my anxiety
luckily I don't have
into dreams. It's crazy because like if daily life is not horrible, you know, like whatever. Some things are stressful, but right when my brain turns off, it's like you have to do everything right now. You have to. In my dream, it's like, oh, what's going on? But that happens sometimes. I had a dream the other night that I got a sick tattoo, but then it got in the way of another tattoo.
Oh no! Did you accidentally cover up your Abbey Road tat or something?
Fuck no, dude.
Okay, just making sure.
I would never do that.
Of course. I was gonna say something totally unrelated. Boldy James dropped.
I saw that. I was gonna ask you. I was listening to it before I got recorded.
Yeah. So you heard it.
Did you listen to it?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. What do you think of it?
It's good as usual. I mean, he's probably the most consistent rapper I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, his bars are always awesome.
Always heavy hitting. Great production from Future Wave on it. What he's done this year is incredible. He has 3 different albums. They're all collaborations with 3 different producers. They each have their own kind of identity. My favorite, I think, of the 3, now that they're all released, is probably the first one he came out with, which was back in, I want to say, May or April. It was with Real Bad Man.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It was I forget what it's called. It's a great album though. It has a gun on the cover. I just the name is escaping me, but I'll probably link it below. But one of my favorite albums of the year,
Killing Nothing.
Killing Nothing, yeah. And then he had the album we talked about a couple weeks ago on our podcast. Yeah, and then he recently just dropped Mr. 1008. Yeah, really cool.
Three
album.
totally different like attitudes.
Yeah, albums. They have their own
Mr.
identities.
1008 is the straight up 2010s like
that was rap, the grittiest like one
underground
for sure.
Rap.
Very grimy.
My favorite lines were like he was like rapping and he's like I'm from real Detroit, not from the they won't understand. They're like the guys from the brownstones wouldn't understand or something like that.
Yeah, there's some good Detroit bars on there.
Or like, he's like, I'm from the real Detroit, not no townhomes, something from the brownstones, and I'm like, oh shit, like so the dudes from like the hoods in like because brownstones are like West Coast, like that's West Coast like city. Like,
okay, yeah.
Like, okay, maybe it's an East Coast, West Coast kind of like maybe he's dissing the guys on the coast. And he's like, oh, I really grew up in the shit. And I'm like, dude, that's so hard.
I didn't pick that up, but there was a lot of Detroit things I picked up. There was a news broadcast, and I'm 600 miles away from Detroit right now, but there was a news broadcast that was like that he played as an intro to this album that I think is like really outdated at this point, but it's like it was a news broadcast saying Detroit is officially the murder capital of the world, and I'm like, yeah, that's my city.
Yeah,
murder capital of the world.
That's a city that when I'm out of the state, I say that I'm from.
Yeah, that's the biggest city.
Which is not anymore because there's not a population.
Yeah,
so I guess
right.
Per capita, it would be true, but
I think I want to say it's actual numbers. Baltimore or something, but
it's St. Louis, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
St. Louis. What goes on there?
Fucking, I don't know. Fuck the Cardinals.
That's Detroit, yeah. Fuck the Cardinals.
I hate the Cardinals.
I'm still not over the 2006 World Series, and I was 3.
Yeah, fuck the Cardinals.
Fuck the Cardinals.
Why did they do that shit that the All-Star game determines home field advantage?
Oh my god, dude! I don't even. Don't get me started on
that, dude.
Don't get me started on the Tigers falling short in the World Series now, okay?
Because, oh my god! And then
2006, I was 3 years old in 2006,
but I remember I watched every game of the sweep.
Yeah,
I watched every game that the Giants swept the Tigers. Miggy was a fucking triple crown winner. We had Justin Verlander, Max Scherzer, Rick Porcello, and Mark Sanchez. Prince Field. Well, no, that was his slump season, but.
True, yeah.
Like
we swept the Yankees in the ALCS.
Yankees! Oh my god, dude! Oh no! I watched. No, they played in the ALCS. Oh no, what was What did they play? Shit. They played
Oakland, right?
Oh no! I don't remember.
No, they played Oakland in 2006. I don't know who they played before the Yankees. Maybe Cleveland. I don't know.
I thought they played St. Louis before, and it was like kind of a revenge. They played St. Louis one year.
I was very young still in 2012, but I remember the ALCS in the World Series.
But I watched every game.
Me too.
I was
big into baseball at that time.
My little cousins were born that year while they were in the world, like. Around that time they were in the World Series.
Yeah.
And I remember like being so pissed when around like my anger as a child was like I remember being in the hospital and I was like in 4th grade or whatever, and I was like, oh, the Tigers didn't win the Tigers. Yeah. I was like, fuck Buster Posey. I was like, I hate Buster Posey. You can't run into the catcher anymore because of Buster Posey.
Yeah. That's true. Dude, that blocking the plate rule is the dumbest.
Dude. What a fucking little bitch! You block your knee because someone ran into you. Be a better catcher than be a stronger guy.
Yeah, skill issue, honestly. Man, Alex Avila was better than that fraud, anyways.
Yeah, he only got that because his daddy was the GM.
I know. He was my favorite player growing up. I was a catcher.
Really?
Well, I was a catcher.
Oh, so yeah, but I hated Alex Avila.
You know, when I was that age,
my favorite catcher was Joe Mauer.
There you go.
Joe Mauer.
I didn't know like
what was Jorge Posada on the Jorge Posada.
What about Pudge, dude? That's a legend, right? Detroit legend right there.
Oh, dude, I remember seeing Pudge when I was a little kid, and I was like,
Yeah.
"That's my that guy." That guy, you know the memes on TikTok where it's like, "I defined my whole like identity around
Personality.
this
Yeah.
person." Yeah,
Pudge.
that was
Pudge
Pudge. That was
Rodriguez.
my baseball
Man.
identity. That guy's my favorite baseball player of all time.
Man, you really know that we're doing this podcast for us because this is a music podcast. We're talking about the 06 Detroit Tigers.
They sucked. Oh no, not the 06.
No, the 03 or 04, I think they lost like 112 games.
Yes, they sucked.
My parents had season tickets to whatever year that was. I think it was 04.
Oh my god.
They had season tickets to that, and then they bought season tickets. They might have started them the next year because they were so cheap after they lost all those games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude.
You know that meme where it's like that viral tweet where it's like guys could like sit around for hours and name old sports players and be entertained. It's like it's so true.
It's so true. Dude, remember the this is probably this is all connects back to Boldy because he's from Detroit, okay?
Yeah.
But dude, that fucking pitching rotation that we had for like 4 years.
Oh,
remember Doug Fister?
I do. Okay, so during when we had the rotation of like Verlander, Porcello, Fister, Anibal Sanchez. I went to like so many Tigers games during that period, so I saw all those guys.
We won too much. Even when we sucked after that, we still won too many games. Pitching was shut down. Like the pen was even great because you had guys that like Phil Koch pitched until like way past he should have been, and that was crazy because he came out and that would be insane. And then, but we had Fernando Rodney when he was dog shit, and like
Al Albuquerque, remember him?
Al Albuquerque, that dude.
Dude, the guy's name went from here all the way to here.
Yeah, with like a rainbow.
Yeah, it was like a rainbow.
Joel Zumaya, the dude that could throw 100 and 100. He's the first pitcher to throw 100 or whatever.
You're like an encyclopedia for that, man. That's crazy.
I'm a big Tigers fan.
Sadly. Oh, me too. It's almost.
And that was childhood. I watched Tigers every day. Like I watched baseball every day.
Baseball used to be my number one top sport, and I still love baseball.
From school and watch baseball.
Yeah, me too. My dad used to love baseball. Be on in the house every day.
And Tigers have a new GM, so hopefully there's a good direction.
I think there's a chance for them. We have a lot of prospects.
Youngest team too. Youngest team in the league.
Right.
So
that's cool. I think we should probably get off that.
Yeah, but the Boldy album,
it was good.
1008 is
it's short also, so I'd recommend that.
I think it's a very traditional underground rap. I know that's kind of backwards thinking, but like, okay, it's nothing really stands out to be like. Oh, I mean,
it's not spectacular. I mean, he has far better, but it's really,
I'd say it's the weakest album of the year from him, by far.
Yeah,
I think Fair Exchange. Robbery is the second best album, and it stands pretty above.
I agree. For me, I think Killing Nothing is like the clear best.
Yes.
And then maybe because of the length, it feels more of a full-length album, where these last two are a little shorter, more like maybe more mixtapes kind of vibe from them. But I think it's just impressive anyone who can put out that much music and have it be good still. So.
Oh, his bars are still hit, and his production is a classic Boldy James production.
This is more his.
I think Smacked had like a really cool like fucking saxophone. No, it wasn't that.
I don't quite remember. It's been a while. I listened to this when
Mortimer Milestone. It's the second song off the album. Has some good saxophone in it.
Yeah,
like, this is just Boldy. This is just his bars are always good, and you can.
If I was gonna recommend a song off it, the single "Could Be Worse." Very good song.
Yep, because I remember when that dropped. I think we brought it. We listened to
it. We listened to it on Discord call. It was in the post podcast of one of our podcasts.
Yeah. Naturally Conspiring wasn't on it, which I'm surprised.
Yeah, it's not. I don't know if that song was produced by Future Wave. Now that I think about it.
Oh, definitely was not. It was that one French like.
Right.
Where is that album? I want that album instead of
the Dilla album is coming out soon.
Is that a Boldy and Dilla? Yeah. Oh my god, I'm gonna shit my pants.
I just saw an interview about it. It's coming like.
I'm like soon. This podcast is the only like avenue for my dad to like listen to new music.
Okay.
What's up, Dad? I'm sure you're listening.
Shout out Riley's dad, Mr. Greenwood.
He he loves rap and rock, so he needs new music to listen to, and I always recommend Boldy to him. I'm always like, dude, he's from Detroit. He, he's a fucking amazing. He listened to all of Bo Jackson. He's like, yeah, it's good. And I'm like, dude, like, but yeah, it's such good stuff. Like, and I'm always like, you gotta listen to West Side Gun. He has Black Star and Run the Jewels on his newest album.
Yeah, did he listen? That's a little less accessible than Boldy.
I gotta hit him up. Be like, what's up?
Yeah. Did you listen to the Drake and I guess 21 Savage?
Hell fucking no, dude. That's dog shit.
What do you have against Drake and 21 Savage?
Drake. Okay, Drake's gonna make music that's gonna sell. Is it good music?
And
no.
It did. Yeah. I'll disagree here. I love Drake personally.
Good, that's good for you. Hey, listen, I just can't stand his fucking music.
That's fine. That's fine.
Can't do it.
I mean, I know anyone who listens to Drake and is a Drake fan knows it's not a hot take to say his old music was way better, because it was.
Portland.
Portland's good. This new album, Her Loss. I mean, you didn't listen to it, so I'm not gonna.
Oh, I listened to it.
Oh, you listened to it?
Yeah.
I thought you said you're not listening to that shit.
I listened to
it. Dude, 30 seconds ago you said you didn't listen to it. I could have sworn.
Okay. Technically, I didn't listen to it all the way through, but
okay, but you heard some of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Rich Flex.
I'll give my
Rich Flex. I'm like, oh my god, best song to ever be put first in an album. I'm like, it's like he just cuts off the sound halfway through, and then beat switches, and it's like the hardest shit ever. I'm like, listen to like any like fucking West Side Gun, listen to any Rome Streets, and you'll get actually good bars. Like, yeah. I'm sorry.
I mean, I'm not listening to Drake for bars. I'm listening to Drake to feel like a bad bitch. I don't know.
To twerk?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm in my dorm room alone twerking to. No. Like, I don't. This album. Listen, I love Drake. I love Drake. I do. I'm not gonna like lie about that. Right. I know I'm supposed to be like some kind of music elitist who has a music podcast. I fucking love Drake. I'm sorry, but this album, like, it's not what I wanted from a Drake and 21 Savage collab, because I mean they just dropped that song Jimmy Cooks a couple months ago. That song's
right,
awesome.
But Jimmy Cooks was awesome.
That song was awesome. This was not awesome. This was I think like Drake kind of ruined 21's image with this one. I think like Drake pitched this album to 21.
They just love fucking each other's butts at this point. Like,
and that's what I'm like. I think Drake pitched this album
or something.
I think Drake pitched this album to 21, and 21 Savage just didn't say no because it's Drake. Like, this is not 21 Savage music at all.
Yeah, I think Drake has 2 misses this year for albums.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, okay, so it's a Drake album.
Honestly, never mind. Absolute miss. Not good at all. This, I like a lot of songs off it. It's just not really what I wanted from Drake and 21 Savage.
I feel like it's gonna fall off really fast. Like her.
Well, that wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I don't know. Just I don't know. Just looking at the track list, like really quickly.
Last three albums from Drake. Due to that stuff.
Yeah. I don't really know.
CLB kind of sucked too.
I'm
just looking. I just look back at like the old, like not even old. There's like literally like Scorpion, like had.
I love Scorpion Side A.
Great album, like a lot of songs, a lot of different bangers. Shit. More Life, great. I remember when More Life dropped and he was going into like streaming. He was like only dropping on streaming, and I was like, oh, I listen to streaming. And then I listened to Passion Fruit, like, because that was like, and Portland.
Dude, Passion Fruit is so. Even if you hate Drake, listen to Passion Fruit in a Void, and I think you might like it. Anyways,
Portland is such a good beat too. Yeah, and then Views before that, like.
I like Views. I like If Your Anus Is Too Late a lot. I like Nothing Was the Same a lot. So. But yeah, for the new record, Back Outside Boys, which is just a Drake song. I like the just solo Drake songs. I think Drake did not bring 21 Savage. 21 Savage either didn't bring his best, or Drake did not bring the best of 21 Savage out of him. I like Back Outside Boys, which is just a Drake song. And I like Middle of the Ocean, which is just a Drake song. Those are both very good. And then the song with Travis Scott is really good too. So I like that one. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll probably be really, really popular, and
I think
I think I'll
it's gonna
miss. I
sell
think I'll
like
miss the hype on this one,
I think
but
it's sold like 400K first week or something like that.
it'll
Which is,
it'll it'll miss the mark for me. But that's
I mean,
just
it missed the
I'm
mark for my
hipster.
expectations because I wanted really the banger Drake to come back out, or like the Gangster 21 Savage to come back out, but I don't know. You know the
Yeah,
song
but
"Mister Right Now" off of Savage Mode 2?
not off the top of my head.
It's the Drake feature on Savage Mode 2, and it reminds me of this album. It's like really like slow, and
Yeah,
I don't like it. But
I think it's what every dude with a perm and a receding hairline that's with the front where they brush all their hair forward and like it's a big
yeah,
ball on their forehead and they're really trying to hide their receding hairline. Um, those guys are gonna eat this up. They're gonna like vape to this shit. They're gonna like
there's a lot of guys who will eat
hit
this
their
shit up.
weed pens and shit
Yeah,
and then like wear their Nike like full Nike fit to this and their Adidas
yes, the tracksuits.
Ultra Boosts and like
Yeah.
you
Hey,
know
I Ultra Boost. I love Ultra Boost. That's a comfortable
I mean,
shoe.
I'm stereotyping, but they're gonna
And
love this shit. They're gonna eat it up. They're gonna kiss each other, do it. Like
yeah,
I'm
it's
just saying that I think if Drake was like a few years ago, Drake, I would like the culture more. But everybody and their mom listens to Drake, and I just don't feel. I don't feel like his music is like the same. I for how popular he is and how much accessibility he has to producers and all that. He used to take advantage of that, even on Scorpion
yeah.
and like More Life. Like he
I
took
mean, he
advantage
could
of
be
all
better.
the 100%.
No doubt, he could be better.
And
Yeah.
I wish he was. I wish he had more diversity in
Yeah,
producers because I'm
because
sure a lot of producers
he's a
want to
good
work with him.
rapper too. You listen to songs like
He has good
Tuscan
flow.
Leather. Yeah,
He's good flow. He's
he's
good
got it
everything.
in him. He's got it in him,
But
but
I think he's
whatever.
trying to do more of a Kanye thing. I feel like too, like the way he's posting about this album too
Yeah, I don't know.
beforehand, and like
God knows what he's doing. It's just I don't
I
know.
don't know.
I don't nothing
Get
really to write home about.
it's gonna be popular, but
Yeah,
very typecasted kind of music.
yeah.
Um, very I don't know, not my thing, but it's all
Yeah.
right.
You got
Listen,
any albums that you want to talk about from the past week?
yeah, actually, so I think I brought this up last week that I listened to a lot of Hop Along.
Yeah, we were talking
Their
about that.
album Painted Shut, I listened to all the way through when I was in the shower.
Mm-hmm.
It was not the whole thing. It's 40 minutes long. That's a long ass shower, but
It's a long
maybe like
shower.
throughout a few showers, and uh, it was really good. I Painted Shut by Hop
Okay,
Along. It's very
that's
good.
cool.
The chick that sings is so cool. Her voice is so cool. It's very like
Oh,
chick rock.
female singer.
Yeah. It's a
Oh, that's
girl.
cool.
It's a very like girl rock, but it's so fucking powerful and
I
good.
love that. I love girl music. You know that.
Um.
Girl
Oh
music. For everyone that
yeah.
doesn't know that's an inside joke. I don't believe in girl music, but that's what we call
No,
it.
there. Music doesn't have gender.
No, obviously not. I want to clear that up. That's just a joke. But
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, this is really good. And I got my girlfriend's stamp of approval. She likes a
Sweet.
couple songs off
Love
of this,
that.
so I'm like, I know it's good. I know the indie kids are gonna love it.
Yeah, there you go. The alt kids.
Oh, I've been listening to a lot of Jeff Buckley. He has
Oh
the album
yeah,
Grace. He died when
Grace.
he,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. I'm
I
quite
listened
familiar.
to Sketches for My Sweetheart, the Drunk. Like I listened to that a lot, but which is has I think it's like after he died or whatever that was like released to.
Yeah.
But I never
Doesn't
listened to
he
Grace.
have a daughter or a son that's like doing music right now?
I don't know
I
off the
don't
top of my head,
remember.
dude.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't remember. I think I saw
But
something about it on Twitter. But
he can fucking rock, and I love it. And
it's been on my
it's
list
very,
of like albums
it's
to fully listen to for a long time. Grace
yeah,
has.
it's very, it's very trendy, right now to like Jeff Buckley.
Yeah, that's why
Like
it's
you
on
go
my.
into
I
any
see it on
vintage
Twitter
store,
all the time.
yeah, you go into any vintage store or record store, it's all like Jeff Buckley, like record
Right,
store of Jeff Buckley records, like everywhere. Like Grace is everywhere, and it's just
Grace is
like
everywhere. Yeah,
it just sucks because I loved Jeff Buckley like years ago, like
yeah. You
when I
were
was
early.
when I think naturally when you find like certain music that you like is in high school and like college and that kind of stuff, and like finding Jeff Buckley in high school before like the wave
Before
of
he, yeah,
indie
before the
kids found him.
resurgence. Let's say, yeah.
Yeah, Which it's kind of weird to be like, oh yeah, I like Jeff Buckley too, and it's like, oh, you just like, I don't want to be like judged for finding
Yeah.
Jeff Buckley before a lot of people. I don't want to be like that guy either. Of like, oh,
It's
I
kind of
found
like
him
the
first.
he has like the MF Doom syndrome. Rest in peace, MF Doom. But
Rest in peace.
yeah,
Dude,
but like there was a time. I feel like we've kind of grown out of it, but there was a time where MF Doom fans were like hostile to people who were just discovering MF Doom
yeah,
because they felt
and
like they were entitled to something for knowing him before he died. Maybe.
a lot of indie kids and like the vintage kids and all that, they gatekeep
Yeah.
a lot. Like
Right.
rock,
Yeah. Which is
everybody gatekeeps. So what
yeah.
in the
It's
music
a
community,
problem in music. Yeah.
which is because like people think they have something like unique, like they think it's like their music and stuff, and it's just like,
Music
I don't know,
doesn't
listen to whatever
belong
you
to
listen to.
anybody. Like,
No.
yeah.
You can have,
I'm
and I think that's
really
what we do with this podcast is we don't really have a set genre
yeah.
or an idea of
If
music.
I
We talk
found
about
something
everything.
if I found something I really liked, I'm not gonna like be like, oh, I'm not showing this to Riley because this like is me. Like, sure, there's music that I think like describes like that I have like a personal connection to, but I'm not gonna not share that with other people. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
very gatekeeping music is very weird. I don't.
And it turns people off to whole albums. You're doing the reverse of what you
Yeah,
would.
and it turns
You
people
want
off
that
to
gratification of recommending it to someone. That's why people gatekeep, and like by doing that, those people probably won't listen to that album now because they're like, oh, that one dick said, ah, this is my music or whatever. Like,
yeah, or just didn't. Yeah, and I see a lot of people. I'm even guilty of this. Say that they don't want to listen to an artist because they don't like the fans of that artist, which I get
yeah,
that a lot too. Sometimes I see there's quite a few artists who have fan bases that I
me with Drake.
despise. Right, or there's other examples for me that I'm not going to say it, but there's a few where I'm like, I don't want to listen to this person's music because it reminds me of these people who are fucking idiots.
Yeah,
But they probably
Nav.
make good music. Hey, well, I was about to say
Hey,
I
did you
love
see
Nav. That's a
Navi?
lie.
Did you see Navi on the perk he's leaning?
I
Got a
did.
bunch of bad bitches trying to meet him.
Is that the first classic mix-up moment? Is that the first like thing I ever showed you,
Yeah,
music
but that was
wise?
like 6
Yeah,
years ago.
yeah, but that's like the birthplace of this podcast. It's rooted in "Did You See Nav" by Nav.
Us listen because I didn't have AirPods because I was broke. My family's broke,
Oh,
and you
true.
had AirPods,
I had AirPods before
and
everybody, for the record.
yeah, and we would listen to Nav in
English,
honors English class in ninth
yes,
grade,
sir. Shout out Miss Miller.
and
What a dog.
S.E. Miller.
I hope this podcast
She
finds you somehow.
she had Miss Miller's a dog.
Yeah, she's got that dog in her.
She got that dog in it.
I wonder how she's doing. This is a good T-shirt.
She's at Utica High School.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Shout out Utica High School.
Alum right here.
Yeah, not
Utica
me, but
no.
I'll tell you the other one.
Yeah, dude, that class was insane. We listened to Nav and YB and Namir. Remember when we were
rubbing off the paint?
We were watching every YBN drop. We were like, oh, another YBN song.
They used to come out with so much music, and nothing ever achieved what rubbing off the paint did for the culture. That's still to this day, it held up. I mean, it's a banger.
Dread singing just like on my roster.
I mean, you can laugh at it, and I like to laugh at it, but it's a banger. And I mean, there's some Nav songs that still go hard, and I'll die on that hill.
Say a little number where you betting that I'm just passing the breeze.
I will die on the hill that Nav has bangers. And I mean,
yeah,
Minute's a great song.
Diamonds on my fist. Punch you in
Both
your
Sides featuring 21 Savage is one that I recently heard after not hearing for maybe like 3 years or 4 years.
Fuck 'em, dog. Which is so funny because around that time period, I was listening to the opposite genre, and I'm like, around that time period reminds me of not the same music. It's like the opposite.
Yeah.
It's like Peach Pit and like like indies shit.
That's funny because I mean I showed you some stuff like that, but like we never like actually really talked about music because I wasn't that big into music at that time. So. Yeah. Right. I was listening to more like just the mainstream rap stuff. I mean, I was a emo kid. I was on the fringe of not being an emo kid anymore at that time. So yeah. But yeah. I listened to quite a bit this week. I found a band that I think you would like if you haven't heard of already.
What's that?
It's a band called Benches. It's an indie rock band.
Dude, shut
Yeah,
the fuck up.
I figured you
I
would like
I
them.
I love Benches.
Yeah,
I'm listening to Benches so fucking much right now. Hold on.
yeah, really?
Yes, dude.
Yeah, that's cool.
I
They're good.
literally
They were like my only gripe with them is they sound like so much like the Strokes that I'd rather just listen to the Strokes. But like
Yeah,
Benches
but
is
I
good.
don't care. It's like two strokes.
Yeah, it's like two Strokes. That's
It's
what
like
I.
me.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like I'm two
cool. They're
strokes.
good. Yeah, I
Wishful
figured you would
thinking
like
at its
them.
best. Oh my god. Fucking
Yeah, that's the album I listened to.
Angry Lizard Noise
Yeah, it's a good
and
one. That's the intro
fuck
track, right?
Heaven. Yeah. Angry
Yeah, it's a good
Lizard
song.
Noise, Heaven.
So I listened to that Wishful Thinking album and I'm like, this is just like the Strokes, but like different dudes, but like it's cool. So then I like went to listen to more. Have you heard their EP? It's called Vandalism. It's really short EP.
Let's see.
That is a little bit of their own.
No, I haven't.
So that they kind of have their own identity on a little more. That didn't strikingly remind me of the Strokes.
Oh, dude, this is very like MGMT, like dude, this reminds me of stuff I listened to like peak COVID.
Yeah.
Like very like
Yeah. Are you an
ambient.
MGMT fan?
When I smoked a lot of weed, yeah.
That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a love at first listen moment with MGMT fairly recently with Oracular Spectacular. I love that album.
Dude. That it's crazy times. Crazy times.
Yeah, you still like it or not really? Not so much.
It's just different shit. I just don't listen to it anymore.
Yeah. I've only recently gotten into it, so
I listen to like so much music, so it's like I could, just because I listen to one thing at one time doesn't mean I'm not listening to the
of course, yeah. And I was just wondering if you were an MGMT fan or not because I've never. I know they're like huge and they're like have a cult following, but like I never got into them. But I recently heard Oracular Spectacular and it was love at first listen. So, and Little Dark Ages. I mean, been stuck in my head for perpetually. So,
yeah, I had some friends that I hung out with a lot that loved that shit.
Yeah.
Damn, nothing. All that music just reminds me of like good times.
Yeah, it does. It does. I miss it. I'm excited for the in-person episode of Classic Mix Up.
Dude, yeah, you're gonna be back for Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah, Black Friday special, the day after Thanksgiving. Classic Mix Up is dropping.
Are we doing in person?
Yeah, Classic Mix Up is dropping.
Are you gonna be home the whole week?
Yeah, I'm
gonna be home the whole week. We're recording it in person.
Of course we are. Yeah, I don't know. We're gonna do something cool for that. Some
we'll throw a little something together.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I'm assuming you have more to talk about, so I don't want to step on your toes.
I've been trying to find that because okay. Painted Shut. I said that.
Yeah, right.
Reasonable Drought by Stove.
You listened to it?
It was good.
Yeah, it's really good. You know what's funny? I listened to it this week too, and I was going to talk about it again.
It was good. It's
yeah, it's solid.
Stove God Cooks is part of Griselda, who we love. We always talk about Griselda.
And I love Stove God Cooks.
It was good.
Personal level, bro.
Yeah.
Bro, he said Stove Jesus whipping on the pot after 3 days the dope. Or wait, what did he say? He said Stove Jesus whipping the dope after the third day it jumped up out the pot or something. I don't know. He's just built different.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was good. I mean, it was good rap.
I listened to Fly God. It's an Awesome God 2 for the first time, which is another West Side Gun album. Yeah. 2 Stove God Cooks appearances on there. We're going back to the baseball thing. Jose Canseco by West Side Gun featuring Stove God Cooks. A great song.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah.
I listened to Lift Your Skinny Fists like in.
Oh yeah, you did the Godspeed You Black Emperor. Not a fan.
Nah,
I don't like instrumental music.
I don't get it. I get why like people would think it's a really good music, but
people praise the composition and like the musical side of it. I haven't heard it fully because I don't who has time for that? But I don't like instrumental music, so
the microphones, the glow part 2.
Oh, you
I
listened to
listened
it?
to that. That was good.
Yeah.
Liked it. I
Yeah.
listened
Okay.
to
Cool.
the guy who, like, he's the lead. He's like, it's like his band. He did that
Phil
one
Everum.
album. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I think Mount Erie.
Yeah.
A
So
Crow Looked at
he
Me.
does the microphones in Mount Erie. Yeah.
I listened to A Crow Looked at Me a long time ago, probably a couple months ago, probably
Okay. Yeah.
Classic
I
Mix Up and that
haven't
shit.
heard it yet because I don't want to kill
That's
myself.
sad as fuck.
Yeah.
It's so sad.
Yeah. So if you're not familiar with A Crow Looked at Me by Mount Erie / Phil Elverum, he wrote it about his dying, I believe now deceased wife. Yeah.
Yeah, she died.
Died
It's
of
the
cancer.
process of her having cancer, figuring out
And
the day she figured out. Well, after he wrote the album after she
died,
about the process of, and then
finding out she had cancer, living with that, and I believe the grieving process. I haven't listened to it because
it's so powerful. You need to. It's more emotional than the Glow part 2.
Well, I want to listen to it, but I want to just listen to it at the right time. I mean, I don't think it's an album to be taken lightly. To just
maybe when you're back home. Maybe when you're back home in your own bed and like just laying
right. I don't think it's an album to be like, oh, I have a free hour. I'm gonna listen to A Crow Looked at Me. Like, I just want to.
I did that walking around campus when I was like some of the most depressed and like out of this semester.
Well, yeah, I'm waiting until I get depressed.
Oh, that's good.
It happens every once in a while. Well, I mean, I gotta find the right moment.
Yeah. Music wise,
microphones are good though. Glow Part 2 is awesome, and I was gonna give it to you to listen to for the podcast eventually, but
I'll give it to me again. I'll break it down.
Okay. There's a lot.
Maybe eventually. I'm not listening to it now.
Yeah, I wasn't going to
for fun, but
there's a lot to unpack there. So
yeah, I gotta do the rounds.
You listened to some good ass music this week. I feel bad because last week I didn't know a single thing you said. This week I've known everything. So
I listened to Benches last week too. I listened to Brent Faiyaz's first album, Saunders Song.
Okay,
that's a huge
really
recommendation. That's awesome.
Okay.
I'm trying to turn everybody on to the R&B soul kind of
music. Never really been my cup of tea, but
it's like Smino, like it's very like that.
Yeah, I've been meaning to re-listen to Love for Rent, but yeah.
What else do you do? I don't know. I've been listening to the same stuff as I did last week, to be honest. Like I have a pretty big playlist right now, so I'm getting good variation. And
that's cool.
I'm kind of jumping around to a lot of Turnstile and Tool. Oh, I've been listening to a lot of Tool.
Oh yeah. That's cool.
10,000 Days by Tool. I've been listening to a lot of that for some reason, just to like headbang. I never listened to. I didn't listen to On Avery Island yet.
Yeah.
Did you tell me to listen to it? Or did I
told you said last week that you listened to, I think, what did you say, Naomi?
Yeah.
Naomi. And I'm like, it took me a while, but after a couple months, I've grown to absolutely love the entire album. So big recommend for it. So
yeah, no,
that's right down my alley. So. Yeah, I listened to have you heard of Let the Sun Talk or have you heard of Mavi at all, or Mavi? I don't know how you say his name.
No.
He reminds me of like an Earl Sweatshirt, navy blue type kind of.
Oh, the new Mike drop. Sorry to cut you off, but
yeah, no, he's in that. Mavi is totally in that vein. So if you like Mike, yeah, I recommend it. And then I listened to a really interesting album called Absolutely by this guy called Dijon. Reminded me a lot of. I think the big comparison to that guy is Frank Ocean.
Mustard.
He reminded me of Frank Ocean, so it was cool. It was pretty good. But nothing crazy for me this week, except for I really fuck with the Benches albums I listen to, and I really fuck with Oracular Spectacular. I've been bumping that.
Yeah,
by MGMT. So
that's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm trying to find you an album, but
yeah, I was thinking about the same thing for you. I have a couple options, one of which is the Glow Part 2, so I'm going to hold off on that.
Okay. Yeah, give me some time.
Yeah, okay. While Riley's doing that, I'll go ahead and plug the podcast. First off, if you made it this far, thank you for listening. We appreciate you. Follow Classic Mix-Up. You can follow us at Classic Mix-Up Pod on Twitter and Instagram. We have Linktree in our bio. You can listen to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, probably other places too. I'm not gonna lie, I don't even know all the places I upload this thing to, but you can go ahead and look for it. Recommend it to your friends. Help us out. Support the brand. Grow the brand. Yeah, I don't know. I'm picking on an album here for Riley. He's looking for me. I'm gonna say mine for you real quick. I'm going with a kind of left field pick here. I'm going with an album that I don't know what's gonna happen when we listen to it, but I'm gonna give you "Bury Me at Makeout Creek" by Mitski.
You son of a bitch! I've never listened to Mitski before.
Right, I figured you never listened to Mitski before, and I figured you probably wouldn't on your own. So
what is it called again?
It's called "Bury Me at Makeout Creek." So it's her first project, I think, 2014.
Okay, because I had this before I give you an album. I had this funny thing happen to me with my girlfriend, and
yeah, I bet your girlfriend loves this album.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I don't need to get into it. I don't. I've not listened. This is out of my expertise.
I know it is, but I thought maybe
we were watching Dance Moms when I was over at her place the other day.
Okay. Legendary.
And they can't use copyrighted music, so they have to use some generic ass shit. And it was this it sounded like Phoebe, like it would be some sad ass Phoebe Bridgers song.
Yeah. Was that their like lyrical dance category or whatever? Or?
Yeah, it was very like girls singing acoustic.
I've watched a lot of Dance Moms. So.
Yeah. I'm sure you know the episode, and they were like, my girlfriend and her roommate were like, "This song sucks. Why do they choose this song?" I'm like. And I turned to my girlfriend and said, I feel like you played this for me at some point. Like, I feel like you played.
You probably shouldn't have said that.
And she got so fucking mad. But I said, I'm not wrong, though. Like, I'm not wrong. You can, like, look, I swear, because that day she was playing me a whole bunch of, like, I think Phoebe Bridgers, is she, like, married to a dude now or engaged? And then, like,
I don't know.
I don't know, but they were like, I'm probably mixing everything up. Like,
I don't know. I love Phoebe Bridgers' music. I don't know about
That's why this is called the classic mix-up.
Yeah, because
I never
you just
But anyway, so she was like literally playing me that kind of music, like a girl and an acoustic guitar, and she's like, "This is so good. This is like her like best song." And then after I said that to her, she's like, "Well, you might be right." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm right." And she's like. Well, at least she's like, all of your music's like rah, 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 rock. And I'm like, you're so right though. Like that's all.
I mean, I don't know. Any music can be just denounced to blah blah blah. So
yeah. Well, she did like guitar, like.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Fuck, dude. I'm just trying to. I don't know.
Do we need to delay the decision?
No.
Okay. But yeah, I guess I can talk about Bury Me at Makeout Creek for a quick second.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, it's a great album, first off, and I'm kind of being mean because I don't know, and I don't even think you are gonna like it, but I know you're not gonna listen to it on your own, so I want you to experience it. So I think there's some cool.
It would be probably while I'm driving with my girlfriend if I ever listen to it outside of.
Yeah, right, and I feel like you're more prone to not like the music in that situation.
Okay, sorry to cut you off. I have a great album that I don't think you've ever listened to. Is one of my favorite albums of all time. Yours Dreamily by the Arcs.
Okay, yeah, I haven't. It's in our header.
I've talked about Twitter. It. Yeah, it's great. It's because they have a new album coming out. I think this year, or next year, beginning of next year, and I wore Vans that had been painted on the cover.
It's a really cool album cover. I'm familiar with the album cover.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. It's one of my favorite vinyls to listen to.
Cool.
Some of my favorite songs of all time. It's slow and drawn out, a lot of the songs, but like I would say recommending, especially for you, set a mindset to just relax and listen to this album because a lot of the songs are slow and very like jammy, kind of like just kind of slow drums.
I'll listen to it when I'm just like chilling at night.
Yeah.
Cool. Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. All right. I think that about does it then.
Yeah.
We have next week's set. Any final words for the people here?
Don't
gatekeep music. Share your love for music with the world.
Spread your music love. If someone doesn't like agree with like your music or whatever, like, and like don't be mean to them, be cool with them, be like, oh, it's
True.
okay. At the end of the day, we're all kind of living in the same world, no matter what you listen to, no matter if you listen to
And
country, no
music
matter
is subjective.
yeah. So, and kind of just music helps us stay happy. So if you bash someone else's music, um, it kind of bashes them too, their insides, their feelings. So just stay conscious of that. Don't gatekeep, because if you
Yeah.
gatekeep, you might have a little like 16-year-old kid being like, "Oh man, this song's awesome," and then you're like, "Fuck you," like whatever, and then they're not gonna like go to
Yeah,
a
and that's not
concert or
cool.
something, for the first time.
Think about what if that happened to you with your favorite artist.
If someone gatekeep Black Keys for me, I wouldn't be the man that you're looking for right now.
Exactly. So
I
yeah,
would
no.
have probably short hair, and I'd be probably listening to Drake. Uh,
There you go. You
and
heard it here first, folks.
yeah.
If you have short
Besides that,
hair and you're listening to Drake, grow that shit out and listen to the Black Keys.
yeah, and be cool.
That'd be
No,
cool.
but usually everybody just stay happy. Well, I mean that's easier said than done, but try to stay positive. Read a book. I've been reading books recently, having fun with just turning off my brain. Life's been stressful for me, so just being able to escape a little bit, using escapism through music and video games and reading and going to school, has been really nice. And uh, so just try to eat healthy too. That helps a lot too, and go for enjoy the outdoors before. At least for us, it's really dark and
The clock is
snowy.
ticking for
But
us.
just go outside. Well, and I think going in, even like if it is a shitty day, there's beauty in it. The
Mhm.
like I was always fascinated by. Just gonna get a little deep into discussion now, but gray skies make people really sad. But I love gray skies because it is quite literally the accumulation of clouds at a consistent level, creating this like this like
Illusion that the sky is
illusion of
gray.
that the
Yeah.
skies. Yeah, but
I never thought of it that way.
and so the sky isn't really gray. That's accumulation. It's water. It's vapors. It's not gray. They're white too. They're not even gray. It's like I don't know. It's just everything is thinly veiled in life, and you're kind of everything that you're going through right now, someone else has gone through. So not to make you feel small, but it's to make those things seem thinly veiled, like that kind of like thin veil of gray clouds over the sky. That like things will be okay. Keep going, keep crushing it. Find the little things in life.
I love that.
Yeah.
Wise words from Riley, as usual. With that, we'll leave you. Have a good week. Thanks for listening, and I will see you next week.
Bye guys, love you all.